tax cuts for Main Street or only for billionaires? The tax, this 2% cut in the payroll tax that President Obama worked out with the Republicans as part of the whole extend Bush tax cuts and extend unemployment insurance is going to run out in the next month or three. And I find it very interesting to see the debate on the Republican side about it, because on the one hand, it's a tax cut, and Republicans just kind of love tax cuts. On the other hand, it's a tax cut that only affects people making under $106,000. Principally, massively affects people making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, putting an average of $1,000 a year in working people's pockets, and therefore might stimulate the economy going into the election and make things a little better for Obama. So Republicans seem to be very opposed to it politically. What's your take on this?
Well, I think there's hypocrisy on both sides here. I think you have...
I'm talking about both sides of the Republican Party.
I'm talking about Democrats and Republicans.
Okay.
There is some hypocrisy on both sides here, where Democrats don't normally want tax cuts or asking for a tax cut, and here Republicans normally love tax cuts, but they're not wanting a tax cut. So I think there's hypocrisy on both sides that you can point to.
Okay, and so what do you think should be done?
Well, I mean, we don't advocate one side or another side on a lot of issues, especially issues like this one. What we educate folks on are what they need to know about these different...
So what are you educating people that they need to know about this?
We haven't even started on this one because the tax cut doesn't even expire till the end of the year. We've been busy educating people on, cuts that they can have. Like we're having a defense event later on, or actually in the middle of September up on Capitol Hill with folks from Center for American Progress and the Cato Institute and so many others to discuss ways that we can actually cut defense spending instead of saying, no, we can't cut that sacred cow. So right now we're strictly focused on the end of the fiscal year and making sure that the government is funded for the next fiscal year in a way that is efficient and smart and effective. And so we haven't even talked about this.
That all sounds so sweet and so elegant.
We try to be.
Yeah.
Like you.
All right. Well, Gretchen, I'm... Okay, I guess we'll have to leave it at that then, because I don't have a...
Well, I mean, we don't have to leave it at that. I think there's a number of things that we can talk about here, that the payroll tax is dumped from a sixth of federal revenues in 1960 to a third today. So that's why Republicans are saying, are against actually having it be implemented, is because right now they're looking at it as a deficit reduction instrument, and this is normally a view that Democrats take, as taxes being a deficit reduction.
Well, if it's gone from a sixth of the federal government this is a tax that affects people making under $100,000 a year. So you're saying working people have doubled or tripled the amount of federal revenues that they're paying, and why? And at the same time, we know that taxes on the very wealthy have dropped. In fact, the top 400 individuals have seen their taxes in the last 10 years cut in half. Mm-hmm. And so why not call for a tax increase on rich people?
Well, you can call for a tax increase on rich people all you want, but rich people have something that we don't have, and that's the power to buy knowledge and knowledge of how to
They have the power to buy politicians.
Taxes. So they can either move their money elsewhere, move to a different country, and they can avoid those taxes. So I think that's, one thing a lot of people say when they look at the 400 top individuals aren't paying taxes because they can afford tax attorneys who actually learn all the tax loopholes.
No, it's not that they learn the tax loopholes, it's that they write the tax loopholes.
Last I
and you and I
checked,
both know that.
And you
think those tax loopholes just just appeared out of nowhere, like back before Van Leeuwenhoek? You put some straw in the corner and suddenly you'll have mice. Spontaneous generation.
I agree with you that there are probably entrenched constituents of those congressmen who actually authored those.
Yeah, there's lots of them. You've got Paul Ryan the other day, his largest campaign contributor, S.C. Johnson and Company. They import into the United States these air fresheners that are electronically heated. And he stands up on the floor of the House of Representatives and says, I'm here to advocate for a reduction in tariffs for air heaters that are electronically heated so that the S.C. Johnson Company can lower their cost of doing business and increase their profits.
But aren't they also constituents of his? Actually, wouldn't that actually
They are his number one campaign donor. No, corporations are not constituents. I'm sorry. People, voters are constituents.
But maybe that company actually employs some of his constituents.
Then let those people speak up.
Do you not believe that people who import goods to the U.S. actually create jobs?
No.
You don't?
No.
So you believe that the longshoremen who are, out there bringing in those goods, taking them off the ships.
Actually, the vast majority of these shipping sites that you see in these ads on TV where people are walking around with these big empty containers are non-union sites, first of all. And secondly,
so Portland, Oregon, San Francisco.
I used to live there in Portland.
I've toured so many of them, and I never knew that they were non-union.
Many of them are.
I've met so many of those union guys. I guess they were lying to me.
But that's not the point. That demand, it's yes, importation may create some jobs offloading ships. Big whoop. We have lost 50,000 factories in the United States in the last 10 years.
Why do you think we've lost those factories?
Because we bought the free trade Kool-Aid 20 years ago.
Oh, really? Huh? So you think that?
Gretchen, yes.
I'm just. Don't you think that it's if it was cost effective to do business here in the U.S., that those companies would still be here in the U.S. And also,
Gretchen, do you know what the first thing that George Washington did when he was informed by his friend Henry Knox that he had been elected president of the United States, and in 30 days had to present himself in New York for his inauguration? He sent Henry to Connecticut to buy a suit made in the United States, because at that time there was one company in the entire United States that had been operating underground and violating the British laws and making fine clothing for men in the United States to buy so that he could wear a suit made in America. His Secretary of Commerce, Alexander Hamilton, in 1791, proposed what's called his Report on Manufactures, proposed an average 30% tax, an import tariff on imported goods into the United States. It was ratified by the Congress in large part by 1793, and from 1793 until the 1980s in the United States, the average tariff on imported goods in the United States was between 28 and 35% at all times.
Wow.
And during that time, we built the biggest and strongest industrial power in the world. The tariffs on imported goods into the United States represented 100% of all the federal income into the United States federal government from the time of George Washington's administration until Abraham Lincoln's administration.
Well, how do you feel about President Obama advocating for 3 new free trade agreements?
I think he's wrong.
Really? You think he's wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. We need to say this does not work. This is insane. China's protecting their economy. Look how it's working for them. Japan protecting their economy. It built their economy. South Korea. In 1965, when Park took over South Korea, the average income of the average person in South Korea was under $800. Their major export was human hair for wigs. He put into place protectionist policies, and boom, they became a superpower. Germany protects their domestic industries. They do it by reversing their VAT tax. It's the effect of a reverse tariff. We need an industrial policy in the United States. Ronald Reagan took it apart. Bill Clinton put the nail in the coffin when he signed NAFTA and GATT, and it's insane. It's destroyed the middle class.
What about all the corporations that depend on those cells outside the U.S.?
To hell with them.
Really? So
yes, I'm an American. If a corporation wants to behave in a way that serves their interest and does not serve my country, to hell with them.
How do you think that not having a free trade agreement that allows Americans and allows American businesses to have access to 95% of the consumers of this world, which live outside these borders, how do you think that doesn't benefit the U.S. citizens?
There are 4 billion people on this planet who live on less than $2 a day. Having access to them as consumers, I don't think is a big deal.
No, but
having access to them as cheap labor is a huge big deal for General Electric and Apple and everybody else.
So many countries that benefit from free trade agreements that lift them out of poverty, so
they
don't have to live on $2. Look at India.
It's not free trade. They got India is protecting their economy. Gretchen.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Gretchen, do your homework. Seriously, India is protecting their economy. Anyhow, Gretchen Hamel, thepublicnotice.org.